All right, let's continue to this now. This is a developing story, of course. Labour Department inspectors are conducting raids in Polokwane. They are checking outlets that are contravening labour regulations. Let's get the latest now from our reporter, Katlego Nyoni. Katlego, good afternoon to you. Of course, we've seen similar raids taking place in Johannesburg over the past 48 hours or so, with some people actually being arrested, including HR managers of some of these outlets. Just talk to us about what are you seeing there now and what are authorities saying?
Good afternoon, Unati, and to our viewers as well. Yes, indeed, this multidisciplinary team from the Department of Employment and Labour is, of course, conducting a 4-day blitz today. They are in Polokwane, where they are monitoring whether restaurants in the hospitality sector are adhering to the basic conditions of the Labour Act. Right now, they have arrived at the grounded container bar, which is in Polokwane. Earlier on, they visited a number 3 restaurants at the Mall of the North, which is one of the very large establishments here, commercial establishments in Polokwane, where they were monitoring whether or not employers in these chain restaurants are indeed adhering to the basic conditions of the Labour Act and if they are following the rules. But now we are at the grounded container bar, where earlier on we saw inspectors interacting with some of the staff whom they believe do not possess the necessary documentation to be able to conduct the type of job that they do. I'm going to bring in the senior inspector at the Department of Employment and Labour, that is Joel Temeli, to speak to us. Very good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on the SABC News channel. First of all, take us through what this blitz uncovered. When you visited the Mall of the North, you went to a number of popular outlets, popular restaurants. What did you uncover there?
Yeah, thank you very much. What we can indicate is that today we visited 8 employers in the hospitality sector in the inner city of Polokwane, which is our capital city in the province. And we also visited one of our biggest mall, known as Mall of the North, which is one of the biggest mall in the province. And in all those workplaces that were visited, we found the number of challenges with regards to conditions of employment, more especially on record keepings, which supposed to give us the information as per what is required by the written particulars of employment as per the Basic Conditions of Employment Act. Most of the employers, we found that they're keeping the documents, and those particular documents that they're keeping, they're not actually put into practice in a manner in which it's supposed to go to the employees, as employers are required on a monthly basis or on a weekly basis. When they pay the employees, those employees have to receive proof, or what we call the pay slips, that will actually indicate in detail how their payment were done and so on. So that is the main challenge that we picked up in terms of the conditions of employment under the Basic Conditions of Employment Act. But when we check so far, in terms of the National Minimum Wage Act, we found that all the employees that we have interviewed, and for those that keeps the records, we found that so far we haven't yet come across any non-contravention with regard to the National Minimum Wage Act. But coming to the Occupational Health and Safety Act, we found that yes, some of the employers, they are complying, but some of the employers, for example, we found that they are lacking in terms of the risk assessment, in terms of the Occupational Health and Safety Act. They do not provide their employees with the PPEs. They do not have the certificate of compliance in terms of electrical installation regulation as per the Occupational Health and Safety Act. So that then requires then us to enforce the law by issuing the contraventions notice and all the necessary contravention notices as per our legislative framework.
And now we're currently at the grounded container bar. We saw you earlier on interacting with some of the employees of this establishment, where you were questioning the documentation that which they were in possession of. Kindly talk to us about that.
Yeah, as you know, in this particular blitz, it is interdepartmentally. We've got our colleagues from Home Affairs, to be specific, the immigration officers. We've got police, because one of our legal requirements is to ensure that there is labor protection service, regardless of whether the employees that are in this particular sector were hired illegally or legally, so that even if immigration officers, they can enforce the immigration law before they get these particular employees deported. We as the Department of Labour, we have to ensure that all those employees, they get what it is entitled for them, because the law requires us to protect everyone who is in this country. And we found that in this particular area where we are so far, there were some foreign nationals, but there was a challenge in terms of the documentation. In other words, we did not conclude that they are documented because the proof of that they are documented were not in place. But so far, our immigration officers, they are still in a process so that if those employees, they have to be deported, we as the Department of Employment and Labour, we must make sure that whatever they are entitled for in terms of the hospitality sectoral determination and the National Minimum Wage Act, it is complied with so that we don't have to violate the legislative framework that we have the mandate on or that we are enforcing.
Certainly, Mr. Temele, thank you very much for your time. And of course, this is an ongoing 4-day blitz.
Definitely. So, but we're not going to divulge because we do not necessarily have to indicate to you where are we going to from here. But all that we are doing, it is the responsibility of the Labour Protection Service. As you know that we are responsible for the employees in the labour market, we have to make sure that those people who are working in the labour market.
Right, let's leave it for there. Labour Department inspectors conducting raids in Polokwane.